very overshadowed. I would say Cure is the favorite here, but we heard Pig talking about this earlier that Shin has reworked his late game, so let's see what he's got.
Yeah. I think the thing about Cure is that insane volatility. If he plays his best, he could win the tournament. Truly, if he puts out his best games, I think he's one of the best players in the world. So we'll see what type of player he's going to be here today.
Introducing our player in the red from South Korea, our Zerg, he is Shin. And his opponent down here in the blue, also from South Korea, our Terran player, he is Cure.
All right. What types of builds are we going to see from these guys? I'm honestly not too sure. Ragnarok, just like generally speaking, okay, that's a very fast touch.
Yep.
But Ragnarok, generally speaking, like I've always kind of viewed him leaning towards aggression. It's great to hear that he continues to work on his late game. I think he's filled himself out a lot. Like there was a period, if you remember, Tasteless, back in like 2015 when the SPO TV Star League was still around, where Shin was just like Mr. Cheese, But nowadays, he's been to GSL finals. He's, a strong macro player as well. Really a good range on him.
Yeah, this is a match where I think, Shin has definitely filled in all the spots of Zerg play, right? And I think that's true for a lot of these guys. In years past, you'd see them play a certain way or they'd have certain ticks. But, the longer you play, the more parts of the game you can begin to master. And that's really how you become a world-class player, is that you can do the rushes, you can do the macro play, you can do the deceptive timing attacks, all of it and everywhere in between. But Cure, I think, has overall had a stronger performance here in Korea and around the world here. He's looked to be very good. He's had extremely robust late game. It does seem like the only player who's consistently getting in his way is Maru, but Maru right now isn't a factor within this best of three.
Yeah, that's true. I remember him being in the finals of Gamers 8 last year against Raynor.
Right.
And that game number 1 still stands out as one of the best played TVZs I've ever seen. So can he keep that type of level? Can he bring that type of level back here to get a really great result for Team Liquid? We're going to see.
Now, the fact that these guys have played against each other so many times, not just in studio, but online as well, means we're probably going to have some very, very zeroed-in build order selection, stuff that I think is not going to be obvious to anybody, including you and me. They just know each other inside and out so well. It is going to be a third command center after the factory tech here for Cure. So he's going to be going for really macro-oriented play. We don't have a read yet from Shin as far as what he wants to do.
Yeah, we do have a small read to his play quality right now, though. He did lose a drone to the Reaper, which is not very common at such a high level. There are 10 Lings on the way with speed just about finished. Cure just trying to delay that hatchery as long as possible. Of course, Shin will be able to get that down.
Okay, so macroing up on both sides. It's going to be a quiet start here. These guys really want to zero in on development. I don't think it really makes sense for anybody to take any risks so far. The star part's about to finish. The tech lab is almost done here. Again, for Zerg, we basically have to watch the production tab. When is the real tech going to be revealed? For now, it's queens, hatcheries, and drones. He just needs to try to get that infrastructure, get that economy going. Some Lings are going to run in here, and the depot wall doesn't get up. So this is not just a harass. This is also a bit of a scout. He's going to see, especially with the tech lab added on to the starport, that's going to be a Banshee coming out. He spots the third command center. So much less about damage, much more about intel.
Yeah, Cloak does get started there, but he gets a little peek at that, so that is something. Also killing 4 SCVs. Like, I think you're pretty happy overall about this, and I think he will probably duck in with this Overlord. Yeah, it gets clicked in. He just wants to see if Cloak got canceled or not.
So the Overlord's going to double peek in here and see Cloak is there. Now, you could go like crazy meta and cancel that. And keep canceling and stuff, but there's a point where eventually you've canceled so much you're not actually doing anything, so it doesn't matter what they react to. So I would say that Shin has about as good of a read as you could ask for. Now, it's not always about just having the read, having the intel. It's also about the execution. So let's see. Cure may be a real threat and be damaging in spite of all of that.
Yeah. Right now, Ragnarok just kind of droning up still, making plenty of queens. We do see some spores going down because he knows that that cloak is going to finish pretty quickly. Definitely has his timing down on that correctly. That first Banshee flying in. And we'll see what type of damage he can get up here. I don't think there's really going to be any, maybe like one drone maximum.
So we've got the double E-bays. Everything that Terran's doing signals investing in the late game.
Yep.
Right? We don't have, the double medevacs coming out across the map trying to even control creep. It's a very turtle up, stay at home, and focus on getting everything you need for that push. Now, this frees the map up quite a bit here for Ragnarok. There's not necessarily a right or a wrong way to do this, but it is going to be one where the end game is going to be epic, and there's going to be a lot of free bases to take for the time being. I don't think we're going to see a fourth base from Terran anytime soon. You just basically sit back and power on 3 bases. Where is Shin here? Yeah, he just wants to defend any kind of little harass. We've got the 2 Banshees coming in here. There should be a spore that spots that. In fact, Cure sees that and gets back out before I think even Shin knew that the Banshees were there, because the Banshees can see a little bit further than the spore can detect.
Yeah. 1-1 is already on the way. The Evolution Chamber's just now finishing up, so he will get those upgrades started for his Lings. Baneling's speed coming up as well. And we're going to see in the next about 30 seconds or so whether Cure wants to add more barracks or he wants to go for that 4th command center.
Yeah, there's basically 2... there's a fork in the road, and it only goes in one of 2 ways. So, yeah, either invest even more in that economy or actually try to start to push and try to control the map. Now, I would say on this map specifically, no obvious place to push, right? And we have Zerg on 5 bases. I still don't feel like there's an obvious location you want to hit. And that's really due to the geography of the map, the distance the expansions have from, the starting point of the barracks here for Terran. So, it might just be one of these games where both guys continue to just secure their side of the map instead of truly interacting with each other. And I know we've got these Hellions and Lings here, but the reality, is that nobody's really committed yet until we see this. This is where you start to have a little bit more control play from the Terran.
So, yeah, right now, Cure is getting that armory with perfect timing to continue onto 2-2 right away. Also, he added the 3 additional barracks, right? So he made that decision between the 4th command center or going pretty aggro. And so we're going to see Cure start to get aggressive on the map here. He's going to be macroing up really, really heavily. Lots of Marines and medics, lots of siege tanks coming out of that factory. And we'll see if he's able to actually pressure Ragnarok, or Shin rather, into submission, right? Like you have to keep that pressure on pretty heavily if you choose to play this type of way.
Cool to see the triple Evo, man. Just getting everything. But I guess when you have a game that's going to be this macro heavy, it's going to be kind of crazy. And so, it's going to be one where, like, nobody's really, lacking at any kind of key upgrade. And so, in other words, for the Zerg, tech switches are going to be very, very possible. And Cure's going to have to be ready for that. They're both about even in supply. Cure is starting to push out. He may just try to get a foothold here in the center. This watchtower does give you kind of like the center of the boarded chest, a little bit more control of the map overall. You can launch attacks to the north or to the east if you want. Now, Shin's staying back, and I think that's a smart move. He doesn't have to attack into Cure's army until Cure has really generated an actual threat on one of these expansions. And it's not clear he's got a real threat anywhere. Now, with Cure in the middle of the map, you can't take the gold bases, but I don't know that Zerg needs to take the gold bases just yet. Shin peeks over here. He sees the advancement of Cure here. I don't know that he wants to try to attack in. And the question is going to be, is Cure spread too thin? We see some of these Zerglings over here manage to take out a tank on the side.
Well, Cure right now, like, his 2-2 is approaching. He's producing a huge amount of Marines right now. He's basically maxed out. And, he's going to have about 20 army supply more than Shin because of the amount of drones here. So let's see if Shin is able to actually break through these positions. Comes in from both sides. Lingbane Hydra attacking in. Some good Baneling hits on both sides here as well. The Hydra's coming up, dealing a bit more damage, but Cure has done nothing but focus on making units. So he has a gigantic army still left over.
Okay, the push is going to continue on. No damage yet on any of these hatcheries here. We have some scans up on the high ground right now. Shin lurking up here, probably looking for any kind of opportunities to dive in and do some damage. 2-2 finishes right as the Zerg attacks in.
Yeah, very, very important. He has a big group of Marines here behind those gold minerals as well, trying to pick off those Banes before they connect, but some of them do get a connection right there. He kills off all the Banes and then stimming forward, going after this Hydra Queen. More Marines coming up. If you don't have Banelings here, this is pretty dangerous.
Yeah, a lot of these Queens are going to get wiped. And, you know, Shin escapes. You know, the Queens are kind of the, it's like the giant shield of your army, right? You want to have enough of them to kind of tank damage as the rest of the reinforcements come in. Getting those kills there might free up the map here. Cure is not done pushing. He's got armies parading across the map. And now he's going to be hitting over here at the 3 o'clock spot. He's doing a good job of keep away. We don't have any tanks to kind of leverage this spot just yet. A lot of Banes are here and present. So when those tanks finally do get there, oh, an interception over here from Shin, cutting off reinforcements.
I love that type of move. If you can cut off reinforcements a couple times, sometimes you're able to move in and kill the actual push itself and gain a big advantage. Now, Cure microing really heavily against this Ling Bane Hydra. And I tell you, like, it's a big, scary army that's being made by Shin on the creep here, but it is hard to force the engagement. The thing is, there's not that many tanks for Cure. So I'm not sure if he's able to just micro so well that he breaks through here.
Okay, we've got Banes coming down now. And, I mean, I just don't know if there's enough here for Cure. The connections are too good. There's just nowhere to run, really. I mean, he's here hitting from both sides. Cure, look at the distance these medevacs are going to have to travel as well. If they go back, he may relocate the middle of the map here. But, I mean, he's just not near anything. I don't see a fourth base yet. I think I see a command center floating to 9 o'clock.
He did get that started a bit ago, so he will be able to take the fourth base, and he does have 3-3 on the way. So his continuation towards that late game is here. We have Shin going into the Hive as well, so he's going to be able to continue to upgrade, you know, go for maybe that 3-3, possibly an Ultraless Cavern. You know, he could go into, like, Lurkers or something like that as well. Obviously, some Vipers would be nice. But yeah, the game just kind of continues forward. It's been a little bit tit for tat so far.
Yeah, it just seems like Cure hasn't made any headway yet. Now keep in mind that, you know, Shin might have survived all these attacks, but he's not done growing. He has to keep moving out. And, you know, the top left and the bottom right of the map, they're very, very far away from each other. So there's a chance as the game gets later, Cure's going to have more opportunities to push in. But for now, it seems like Shin just keeps stopping him. Great surround over here with these Lings. That might allow these Banelings to connect. He's going to force a pickup, which then allows the Hydras to drive this out. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of the map, Cure is continuing to roam. He's going to scan and he's going to stim. Can he actually get into this spot over here? It seems like if he doesn't target those Banelings, he never will. One connects, and one might just be all that Shin needs to make this an impossible maneuver here for Cure.
Yeah, it is a little bit tough when those Banelings connect, but let's not forget the Hydras are down 2 upgrades compared to the armor on the Marines. So they're not doing huge amounts of damage. They're still helping, but he does need that +1 to finish and then go beyond that because 3-3 is almost done here for Cure.
Yeah, Cure is about to be as strong as he's ever going to get in this game. You know, slow games like this make, in the early part, make for very, very dramatic games like we have right now here, and that's all due to the size of this map. Things are really starting to heat up. Cure going to run back here, has to micro back and try to snipe those Banelings. It can be a little tricky when you're running right from top to bottom because sometimes the medevacs actually cover the Banes as you're trying to shoot him. But he's still trying to hit this location over here. Now, regardless, Shin is continuing to grow. Shin has more and more of the map. It doesn't seem like Cure is able to really deny anything. He's trying to take fights, but every time Shin drives him away.
You know, I got to say, this is like an excellent, pretty standard macro game that we're seeing here. Everything's looking pretty modern as well. You know, not everyone goes Ling Bane Hydra, but it is still a very good comp against this type of thing. Now, the Banelings rolling in will get a few of these Marines, but he doesn't actually sacrifice that many. More Ghosts are coming out right now. That +1 vehicle weapons for the 2 factory siege tank coming as well. And here comes Shin.
Okay, he's coming in here right now, and a lot of Banes are going to be spilling down here. Great shots off on that, and you know what? Cure might have swung this. I just see Hydras and 1 Bane running. I guess there's a couple more over here, but is it going to be targeted down? It is, and now Cure can advance on this position. Is he going to be able to take this hatchery out here? If he can take the hatch here, he could take the one just to 1 screenshot to the right as well.
Yeah, he's trying to utilize his tempo advantage here after killing that many units, just pushing right up the center to take out this base, and it looks like he will be able to kill that off. Bane Hydra coming down and trying to hold on. There are Ultralisks on the way, but Shin is just going to tap out. Cure takes game number 1.
Beautifully done. It really was like 50-50. Wasn't clear who was going to take that. But then you saw at the last moment with great control, Cure did it. He pushed in there. It looked like it might have been another back and forth, another tug of war in the map, but then we had tank shots showing up on screen. I never saw the tank siege, by the way.
Yeah.
I suddenly saw tank shots sitting there and I thought, oh, wow, well, he's going to have control of this. If he's got control of that base, he can take out the one to the right, and by then Zerg's going to be too far behind. So this is a recap of that final fight. See the tank shots appearing on camera? Yes, there are tanks. There it is, just south of here, which means the banelings can't really ever get in. You know, Marines can always kite, you know, kind of melee explosion from a baneling. So I got to say, a great game. It kind of ended the way I sort of expected it to end. You know, it was a back and forth. Shin is very good at macroing. He's very good at controlling, but I'd say Cure is a couple points ahead in that regard. Yeah. Taking a look at a fight that happened much earlier on in the game.
Yeah, this was Shin actually clearing some of these armies out.
Yeah.
You know, it was a pretty, like, standard situation overall. I think they both played a very nice game. They both kind of continued forward after, you know, some of the pushes were broken, but the consistently good macro and micro here of Cure did end up taking it down.
And so we move on now into game number 2. Remember, this is a best of 3, and the loser is out of the Esports World Cup here for StarCraft 2. In the bottom left, in the red, he is Shin. And his opponent here in the top left, in the blue, our Terran player, he is Cure.
Now, I'm really looking forward to seeing how they're going to deviate from that previous game, right? Because, again, a pretty standard, pretty straightforward game. Do you want to play the same as Cure and be a little bit predictable? Because you did win, right? And then on Shin's side, it's like, okay, if we go into that macro game, is Ling Bane Hydra actually what you want to do? I do think that there were some problems with it. You know, it can be really hard to play Ling Bane, and if you're not a regular Roach user, that can be really difficult. Like the people that got really good at playing defensive Roach, like Dark or Serral, you know, can crush a lot of these pushes, but some of the Zergs that are more used to the Ling Bane just don't have that power, and they just start getting very cost inefficient. So where does Shin put himself, you know, in this gradient of skill with these different openers?
You know, I don't know that we're going to have super aggro play here from Shin. I do feel like Cure is a guy, at least in my memory, I don't have the stats in front of me, I feel like I never see him really die to cheese. At least TVZ. There's never really these rushes that take him out.
Yeah, generally not.
I don't feel like he ever gets surprised by Nidus Worms. Like, he's just sort of solid in that regard. It seems like if Cure loses a game, it's an overextension in the late game, which he's done a lot of, actually. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a tough one here for Shin. So this map is shaped in a very unique way. There is a pathway on the left where if you mine out the minerals there, you get kind of a direct access attack lane into their natural and towards their main. And it's pretty good TVZ because Zerg can't get behind you. You know, a lot of the ways that Zerg stop rushes is, or not rushes, I should say, pushes, is like, as the push comes out, you send a bunch of Zerglings in between it, and then the small reinforcements get caught and killed. And you do that once or twice, and then the Terran push will get smashed as the Zerg is trying to, as the Terran's trying to advance on the Zerg. Speaking of which, we have a command center here being built.
Cure throwing down his third command center, but he's throwing at those like small mineral patches, so it's very clear he wants to take his third to the left there.
Right.
And he'll utilize that command center, of course, to help mine out those patches very, very quickly.
So
I like that. I like this approach from Cure because that area is already kind of pre-defended against Zerg.
It's pretty rare this early in the game. It looks like the entire intentions of the game from Terran have been telegraphed with that one building, right?
I think so,
It's going to be a third base. Why would you open that up? Probably to push through the bottom. Push through the side. I'm sorry, the left side of the map is what I'm trying to say, to the bottom.
The layout of it kind of reminds me a little bit of Golden Wall, if you recall. It's like, do you choose to, you know, expand to the north and attack through the top part of the map, or do you want to expand to the south? And and attack down this one lane, right? So we don't know 100% that that's what he's going to do, but it really does look that way, as you said, from that command center going down. It feels like you can divine a lot of how this game's going to end up looking.
So, if the Zerg sees that, then you kind of know, right? And by the way, so how do you deal with this? Well, one thing to note is that if everything we've said is correct, that it's going to be a lot of pushing through the left side of the map, you can just start expanding towards the bottom right and usually go unimpeded. Maybe there'll be a medevac or two that will try to... So, if the Zerg sees that, then you kind of know, right? And by the way, so how do you deal with this? Well, one thing to note is that if everything we've said is correct, that it's going to be a lot of pushing through the left side of the map, you can just start expanding towards the bottom right and usually go unimpeded. Maybe there'll be a medevac or two that will try to drop you, but we all know that's manageable. But it will be about trying to blockade that rush, trying to sandbag it, trying to stall it out as much as possible. Remember that even though most games in TVZ, the Terran, if they win by killing off a few expansions on the exterior. That's not the only way to win in a TVZ. Whether it's TVZ or PVZ, we do see games where you just kind of push into the main. Yeah. And it's like you've killed the beating heart of the Zerg. Because if you get into the main, you're going to kill their lair or hive. You're probably going to kill a lot of the important infrastructure on the way. And pretty rarely do we ever see a Zerg actually recuperate after losing all of that important stuff.
Yeah, I did like your suggestion, though, of expanding towards the right. So we'll see if something like that comes up, but there's a Nidus on the way. So it does seem as if Shin may want to try a very, very aggressive cheese here. It looks like it's going to be a Queen Zergling all-in with a Nidus, and he has a greatly placed Overlord, man. There's no vision over here for Cure. This might catch him completely off guard.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be ready for this. We were saying that Cure rarely dies to cheeses, but this looks like one where if he was going to die, it would be to this cheese here. He doesn't see the Nidus. Keep in mind that once you do one Nidus, it gets a lot harder to pull the second one off, so the first one's kind of the most important part to watch. There is a decoy set of lings set out here to basically draw Cure's screen away to make him watch that and try to protect this. And this is all going to hit here as the queens come out. Oh, man.
Yeah, this is not looking too good for Cure right now. He doesn't have a lot. Now, he does a counterattack with these Hellions, so he's going to try to get counter damage. He knows he's going to take a lot of damage. Doesn't deal that much across the map. The Queen's walking up, pushing that Banshee back. Continual Nidus is being made. A counterattack. Cure doesn't even lift that third command center. This game is all but over.
Yeah, it looks like Shin should win this. He's on top of the barracks and all the other important structures. This is going to take out all the vital organs of the Terran. The SCVs are being wiped out down here at the bottom. This should be a pretty short and pretty simple game. SCVs are going to come up here and try to help defend. More units cranking out of the Niduses. In fact, I think we have some spine crawlers being built here as well. We should be seeing GG any second now.
Yeah, 40 SCVs going down. There's really no comeback potential here. Like, if he had lifted that third command center, maybe you could wiggle yourself into a game again. But losing the third command center, you're just never going to replace these workers in time.
Yeah, there it is. GG. Shin with a very cool win. We never really got to see Cure's plans pan out.
No.
I like it. You know, it was a very well-hidden Overlord. I like the Zerglings coming up to generate a threat down outside the third command center. But once those Queens got out there, you could see the rug got pulled right out from under Cure. Definitely a frustrating loss for Cure. He doesn't usually go down like that. Cure played his hand in that match, but I don't think he can really replicate that kind of a win again here. So it's all going to come down to this final game and this best of three.
Yeah, maybe a little bit greedy with his building placements, right? Like, he didn't have anything on the side of the base to scout a move like that coming in. You know, he puts his command center down on the low ground so he can take it super quick. Okay, there's some cool optimizations there, but he just instantly died when the strat came up.
I didn't even see that. He killed the command center.
Yeah. No, it was bad. Like, once the command center fell, there really wasn't anything else. I was actually surprised as well that he did the counterattack with the Hellions, but sometimes you're looking for a little bit of luck to try to stay in a game like that too.
One game left, and only one player will be moving on. The others out here of the Esports World Cup for StarCraft II. Man, this is a rough day here because we're going to be eliminating player after player after player.
And don't forget, this is the first time we've seen Shin. He went through that last chance qualifier, so he gets only best of 3s to see if he can make it, and if he gets eliminated here, he's going to be very sad.
We go into our final game between these two players. In the top right, in the red, he is Shin.
It's a long flight and a very long week if he gets eliminated from one best of 3 tasteless.
And his opponent down here in the bottom left, in the blue, he is Cure. Okay, so we've got a hatchery here made at the gold base. We should note that normally it's made on the other side there. So this isn't, you know.
Yeah, he's looking for ultimate greed to get the rich geyser as well. Yep. So
exactly.
Yeah, much more attackable though. But in some ways, like if you were gonna harass the back of the mineral patches, right? This, you know, if it's like a single Reaper or something, this is actually in some ways more defendable. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
It's
in a
bit
weirder spot to try to hit because you're between stuff.
Yeah.
Where otherwise you're kind of like outside chucking things.
Yeah,
over the fence,
exactly.
Over the the normal defenses. So normally when we have a hatchery made immediately at a gold base, we say it's going to be roaches, right? Because gold minerals give you such a boost, but we have purple gas geyser here.
Yeah, so Ravagers, I guess.
yeah. So there's going to be a little bit of a different income mathing out here over time. Now, the Terran also makes a gold base here. By the way, if you're you kind of casually watch StarCraft 2 and this map already looks weird, it is weird.
Yeah, it is.
They now put a couple super creative maps in a map pool just to force different play. So yeah, you basically both get access to a gold base immediately. You know, 7 or 8 years ago, there was always a gold base somewhere on the map, but pretty much only Zerg could take it.
yeah, for the most part. Sometimes you might get a Protoss like SOS taking it and doing some crazy builds, but yeah, the metagame actually evolved pretty far with how many gold bases we used to have, to the point where it was so obvious you'd go Roach that some Zergs like Leenox started going Muta to try to like counter the counter to the Roach. Anyways, this Reaper does get up behind. You know, you're always going for those behind mineral patchways. He does bring some Lings up to fight, but already a drone was picked off, so not too bad from Kier so far.
Okay, so the Reaper's out here. Now, we were talking about, can Terran get back here and harass this? Yeah, you can. But you can see that you're kind of trapped back here, so... Oh, he's actually going to get out. All right.
2 drone kills is really nice for a first Reaper. Really nice.
No, I mean, that's good on any map. 2 drone kills, especially when your big opening is hinged on getting gold minerals right away. So we've got 5 roaches coming. Now, this is going to be an aggressive play.
I think so. Like, I would be kind of surprised if he just sits back and tries to defend with this. You know, especially considering you're probably assuming that he's taking a gold base as well, and Roaches or Ravagers can do such a good job harassing that as well, just like this Reaper is doing.
This Reaper's still here. Now, he's basically being a nuisance. It doesn't look like the Queen's going to chase him down, so he might have an opportunity to hit that a little bit later on. Now, it's hard to get up the Terran's ramp. You know, you do start out on high ground, but you don't have to go to the Terran's high ground where the main entrance is. You can just hit behind the minerals, like our observer's showing us now. Oh, sorry, or you can just hit the front. Never mind, guys. I mean,
well, you know, when you're going for like a 2-base Ravager rush, sometimes you bring that Overlord over so you can hit your biles. This is going to be a little bit hard to break. If you want to break something like this, you kind of have to launch the biles to make the SCVs pull back and then start to put damage on, because you have to break the bunker pretty quickly or it's going to snowball out of control.
Right. And now he's hitting both the depot and the bunker. You don't have enough Ravagers with 5 to like one-shot that, and I love this. Just 1 Roach. 1 Roach is enough.
Yeah.
It's enough to probably force those to pull. Now, one person might look at this and go, well, isn't the bunker getting repaired? Isn't this fine? Yeah, but the SCVs aren't mining. This costs resources. Look at that spike up. Red is getting a much better income than blue right now. And it's kind of a double whammy because you've got the gold base not mining because of the 1 Roach. The cooldown on the corrosive biles for the Ravagers, that's free.
Yes.
That's infinite as long as you can keep shooting it out. Now, this doesn't mean that Cure is going to lose, but it means Cure has to thread this needle pretty carefully here. The 1 Reaper actually outranges the Roach. I know we don't normally think about Reaper range versus Roach, but in this situation, it does matter. And so that will force the Ravagers to then come around here and once again force deny mining.
Yeah, it looks like these Ravagers will be able to kill off quite a few SCVs before that pullback occurs, dealing some damage to that command center as well. But this was actually a 2-1-1 build from Cure.
Yeah.
He's boosting across the map right now with quite a few Marines in those medevacs.
He did kill that Reaper, by the way, as well, so he can leave that and send the Roach back in.
Well, right now he is getting some good economic damage here onto Cure, but with Cure's counter push going and most of the units over here for Shin, is Shin just going to take critical damage? It looks like he might.
Yeah, he doesn't have anything defending back here, so suddenly this big, scary attack that was happening at the bottom of the map doesn't really matter, as it is an absolute massacre over here on the drones. The Roaches come in. Is there even enough Roaches? I guess there is, but you can pick up and get away. And those Roaches, they got to go the long way. In fact, they're getting stuck in the minerals. Command center's been lifted. It's a really scrappy game. Oh my god, I love this. He's got better range than the Roaches.
Yeah, Roaches are not that great a range. He's getting like one to shoot at a time. Some others trying to come from the other direction, brings these Ravagers home as well. But it feels like Cure doing a great job with these drops. Now that being said, look at this. Like his gold base is not mining for a long time. This is a very scrappy map.
Yeah, this has just been like a really action-packed, close game. Kind of hard to say who exactly is in a better spot. I think Cure can cause a lot more hurt right now than Shin can. It's sort of his turn to deal the damage. And you got to remember, just because one player hasn't lost a base doesn't mean the mining time isn't hugely impactful. Now, over time, Roach Ravager kind of beats anything early game, so eventually they do have enough you have to keep away. But, you know, Cure is being very nimble on the map. He's actually hitting a lot of different locations, and he's really causing a lot of problems. Two-base Zerg versus two-base Terran, technically it's better for two-base Terran, right?
Yeah, for sure. No question about that. Like, Zerg does need to get a little bit more as far as that mining goes. And especially when you have things like Marine Marauder Medevac, right? Like, Roach Ravager on two bases just doesn't want to deal with such a thing. Right, he tries.
That was ambitious.
Tries to time that out. Doesn't quite work. Didn't get 7 Void Rays with those biles. But, you know, right now, Cure just flying around, keeping some pressure on. I like the concussive shells. I like a lot of the things that Cure is doing here, right? He took some reasonable damage early on, for sure. But his counterplay of the 2-1-1 build, I think that Shin didn't even have any idea about that.
Oh, is he not watching? Okay, barely saves that. You kind of have to assume in a pro game you'll never lose anything to biles, unless they're structures. So Cure is going to stay back here, and he's got basically a little squad out here to fight anything that's out trying to hit his gold base. Stim Marines are faster, you can see, than Ravagers.
And look, he flies the 2 medevacs in. There's not a lot of anti-air, so he can continue to fly these around without too much worry. And if any mistakes are made by Shin, he gets damage. And if not, you know, no harm, no foul.
Yeah, this has got to be annoying. You know, Roach Ravager, it's got its moments, but then eventually you see the Terran get medevacs, and it's like you're just chasing these guys around the map. They can pick up and roam with impunity. It's a frustrating thing. And, you know, Terran is now expanding pretty comfortably. Don't be fooled by the supplies, by the way. Roach Ravager takes up a lot of supplies, so it's not like Shin is necessarily stronger and can break the Terran. Now, he might be able to do something here because there's enough Ravagers that you could basically one-shot the tanks. Oh, I didn't see that third one. So there might be enough tanks here this can't quite be done.
I don't know how I didn't see that third one either.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere.
I was like, why are the tanks stealing like 50% more damage than they should? But yeah, I think it was behind like the production tab or something there. But yeah, anyways, another drop here against Shin. Hurting that economy still. Going to boost out the 4th base being taken, and he is kind of doing a back-and-forth harassment there with these medevacs. If he can keep him down on 3 bases, that's going to be amazing. Yeah, look at that. In fact, that was a cancel.
You know, Cure, I think long-term is going to be in a better spot. There's been a lot of effective attacks coming in here. By the way, the gold minerals are mined out at least on one of those patches, so now there's a way to move in there. We'll probably see harassment slow down a lot over on that side of the map. Now for Shin, he's expanding. He's looking pretty good. This game is moving far, far away from the crazy rush technical game that we had early on, and more going into the development front, more about trying to spread creep tumors for Terran, probably eventually getting sensor towers up here and trying to grow out on the map. We could get to the point where Cure starts to push as well. He may start to try to come out on the map and try to attack. Again, similar to map 1, I don't know that there's any one obvious location you want to attack into.
Yeah. I think right now there's no real good attacks on either side. They both have like a pretty good defensive setup. As some of these upgrades finish, though, Baneling speed, Zergling speed, get these 1-2 upgrades for Shin. He is going to become a bit more dangerous. Obviously, he's got like a little bit more supply right now, but again, like you said before, a lot of it is in roaches, and they're one of the more supply inefficient units in the game.
Scan here. Another attack in. Now, at the point in time where you have enough Marauders, you can kind of just bust through this. The stim units are going to do so much damage. He's going to kite away. And, when you get enough Marine Marauder, they're just a better unit comp than Roach Ravager. You can kite the Roaches. When the Ravagers fire, you just sidestep it. And so Cure slices through that. He gets right back out. The Zerglings are going to make the math a lot more difficult there because now you can't just kite. And so he's going to pick up and run away. But I think Cure's taking some good fights. He's creating some good opportunities here on the map.
I think he's keeping his supply in a place that makes this game really hard for Shin. Like, just keeping your supply close against someone who's been making a lot of Roaches and Ravagers is very, very nice. He's continuing those upgrades forward. We do have +2 carapace, which is a good thing for Shin. And finally, that Hive is going to finish up. I would imagine he's going to go into Ultras here. Like, the upgrades kind of look like it. The way the game is played out has kind of looked like it, but it's going to be a little bit before those are effective if he does go down that route.
So he's unloaded over here. It looks like he's probably not going to be able to deny this. I think this is basically you wait for the drones to come, you stim, you get as many kills as possible. Or not. He's going to come in here, so he's just going to get driven out. So here comes the big push. Terran is going to send these tanks out with these Marines. And this is really where we're getting to the climax of this game. Does the Zerg have enough? Roach Ravager eventually isn't going to be good against this kind of complexity from the Terran, so you need the Banelings. The Ling counterattack is great. I don't really see much to defend here. Let's see how fast Cure even reacts.
A little bit slow on that reaction there, pulling everything back, but he is microing in the center of the map right now. 10 SCVs fall, so Cure's economy looking a little bit weak, but this is a scary army, a very decent army from Cure out there. A good amount of Siege Tanks, a good amount of Marauders as well.
So he needs to start to hit this tank up here. If the tank spread is, this hatchery up here with the tank, excuse me, he's got a really good spread. Another Ling counterattack, I think it's a great idea. This is definitely going to be a really annoying moment. But here comes the attempt to deny the push. He gets in there, he gets hit with some shells, he backs up. The Marauders might be able to just pick the hatchery off as well. It's really hard to engage with Cure. He's got the Vipers, some blinding clouds come down. The tank spread is pretty decent, but the blinding clouds are many.
Yeah, the blinding clouds are so painful here. In fact, even pulling some of these Siege Tanks forward, it looks like Shin is going to kill this army of Cure that he took a long time to make, killing off all of his Siege Tanks.
It's a bit of a trade, though. There's a lot of medevacs, so there's going to be a lot of sustain over here. I don't see any Banelings just yet. The kiting is getting pretty good here. Cure could try to reinforce this.
Yeah, he still has a very good Marine Marauder medevac ball, right? Like, a lot of these do have damage on them right now. Maybe some Lucky Biles can help out with that. But the Siege Tanks aren't the only thing. If you don't have that much supply, and Shin actually has less supply than Cure here with a more Roach Ravager intense army, it's still going to be very hard to deal with Terran.
He's going to come in again. Now, the Banelings are going to finish just in time, I think, to... Oh, all right, he's actually going to cancel that here. So the stim is going to come in. This is a really big moment here. He's got to kite these as well as he can. He's splitting really nicely. Beautiful split here from Cure. He could dive back in. Is this the tipping point? He's going to move in. The Ravagers can't quite get away. The hatchery is not protected.
What a painful moment right now for Shin. He is on the brink of defeat. If he loses that base, Cure is going to be in a great position here. And in fact, Cure continues to kill off so many of Shin's units.
Yeah, he's doing a great job over here. I think this is going to be it. GG! Cure victorious in